inside. I know your name, Coach. Reintroduce yourself to the whole world.
Drew Johnston.
Drew Johnson. So, Coach, as every time I come over here, I think about Coach Ballbay, Coach Watson, man, and just the legends. And I know you guys even had my old former coach over here at one point, Coach Wakoviak. So you got three of the most iconic high school football coaches ever in the state of Texas. How does it feel coming behind just, I guess, all three of them, basically?
Well, kind of like we were talking earlier, I played under Coach Barbay,
Right.
coach with Coach Koviak, and obviously worked for my dad and grew up here, played here. So it's kind of been my whole career, my whole life's been up here in this building and been part of this program. So it's just kind of been what I've known my whole career and whole life. So it's been a good deal.
Yeah, so you're doing an outstanding job, Coach. So tell me, let's get into last year when you had the regular season going on. You guys kind of breezed through, I would say breezed through the regular season, and then when the playoffs hit, tell me how did things change for you? And we'll get up to the state game, but once the playoffs started, did you see a change in the competition level?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, but I felt like we got better every week. We really
Right.
started hitting our stride. Things really clicking. And sometimes, I tell our guys all the time and tell people that sometimes it takes a while to figure out where everybody fits. And we had in our preseason that kind of we had some battles and kind of you see that where guys need to go. And then I thought throughout district and really into the playoffs, we really that about the third round of the playoffs, watching film and going back and looking at the season and we made some highlights and made some clinic tapes. We're going back and looking. We were really starting to play well.
Right. Right. So tell me about when you did get to the state championship game. Now I have my own thoughts on. I think that, just my opinion, I think that when the game started, I think that the way you guys dominated everybody, uh, and then for the kids to get out there against all the other people were inferior opponents, but we got out there with somebody that was just like you. I think it was like a alarm that comes on and said, "Whoa, man, wait a minute." So tell me about during the game.
Well, we right off the bat, we kind of they hit a big play, very first play of the game, and the atmosphere of the game it's different, and for we weren't ourselves for a minute, and we probably didn't play our best. I didn't think really the first quarter, and really about the middle of the second quarter, we started settling in, played really well.
Right.
And you saw the game came back. It was Wall was a great team, and you were going to have to play your best to beat them. And
Right.
that's kind of what I told the guys at halftime that if we'll go lay it on the line, that's all we can. That's all I can ask for. And play like we can play, and that's what they did. So that's what somebody asked me after the game. How was I said, look, they did what I asked. At halftime we kind of found our bearings and played Newton football, and so that's all you could ask for. Wish kind of early in the game we were big eyed for a minute, and that happens, with coaches, kids,
yes.
and
Whole community,
proud of them how they kind of shook that off and played Newton football the rest of the game. Unfortunately, it was came up 1 point short with a chance at the end. Had them on their heels. So that happens in football.
Yeah. So tell me about. I thought about this last night. I want to ask you this: when the final second ticked off of the clock, right? When you realized, okay, the final second ticked off, and you looked up and realized, man, we come up 1 point short. What? I mean, how did you feel when that happened?
Well, obviously disappointed for you kids because really as coaches, you're really the only ones that see how hard they work, what it means to them, and what they put in, and what your staff puts in, and so that's what you're disappointed for. But like I said, it was proud of the season they had, proud for the town, for the kids, for my staff. Like I said, you're disappointed, but like I
Right.
said, I've been more disappointed in losses than I was in that one, really, because the talk we had at halftime and the way they responded and how they played and left it all out there. Obviously, every game you're gonna have a regret here and there, and they understand that, but the way they responded and played, like they knew how to, and like we always do, I was proud of them. So like I said, I've been more disappointed in losses than that one.
Right. So moving into the off season, Coach, what have you guys been doing as far as your off season schedule and all of that stuff right there?
That's one thing that doesn't change. We're pretty consistent on that. We our regiment, our off season, go home. Our off season, our regiment things. we train hard, and it's something we've kind of kept the same routine for years, and that's kind of, I think, somebody asked me a while back, what do y'all do that keeps you so successful? And I said, look, we do the same thing we've always done. Kids
Yeah.
work hard. It's a culture. It's something that's been built for a long time, and they know what we're going to do every day. Every day's, Monday through Friday. It's usually the same routine. They know what's going to be on the board, and they get in there and they work. And but we're big on competing. Our guys competing in other things other than football in the
Right.
spring. I mean,
Right.
our guys are playing basketball, baseball, but they're running track. They're going to get out
Oh
there and
yeah.
run
Oh
track.
yeah. Oh yeah.
The big guys are going to power lift. They're going to go. I tell them, I want to see you compete in things in the spring. 'Cause that's what makes you better once you get to the fall. So
Yeah, you guys. I mean, like I said, I'm older man, so I remember Coach Ball. I remember all of the legendary guys up there. I played in the '80s. I remember Anthony Ball and all the guys. And that's the one thing that, like me and my brother, we talk about it all the time about how Newton is so consistent because you guys do the same thing over and over again, and it becomes habitual for you. So now moving forward into this season, I just found out from them when I was doing interviews. So right out of the gate, well, I'll tell you what, we'll talk about that in a second. So you got one of the most dynamic running backs, okay, in all of the state, really in all of America. I call him the next coming to Reggie Bush. Okay, so what's different about him, Coach?
You knew early on watching KJ when he was young, he was going to be special. He is. He's a very good player, good kid, very explosive. I've coached a
Yes,
lot
sir.
of really good players. At a young age, you could just kind of see he had a different
Right.
gear. Very strong kid and
Mhm.
physical at a young age. Just he's a very explosive player. He
Right.
can. What I've always been so impressed with him about, and I've told coaches and told him when he was younger, what something that made him different was his blocking ability. He's a physical football player,
Yes.
whether even when he doesn't have the ball in
Yes.
his hand. He played a lot of defense when he was younger. I haven't had to play him on defense as much the last couple of years. He may play some defense this year because he can play on that side of the
Yes,
ball
sir.
too.
Yes, sir.
But no, he's been fun to coach. I'm glad he's been on my roster for
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's been good, man. He's been easy to coach. He practices hard. He's one of those guys. That's another thing I've told coaches that come and ask about him. I'm like, I've never had to get on him at practice.
Yes, sir.
He's gonna, full go all the time. So he's special. He's been fun to coach.
Okay. So I can't get out without asking about the quarterback. So I train quarterbacks. So he's in my training group with Jasper's quarterback, Trevor Beatty. Luke Babin was in the group. He's moved on. So and I tell me about what you see in him, because I'm telling you, I'm really impressed with him at a young age. At a really young age.
Yeah, Isaiah, man, he's got a really bright future, and
Yes, sir.
we knew again, we're around our guys a lot when they're in middle school. We go down there, we coach them, we're at every game, so you get to see them at a young age and the potential they have, and that to me that's important. And we knew Isaiah had a chance to be a special player. To play that position
Oh
in
yeah,
that
coach.
atmosphere for the kind of team that we
Right.
have at a young age can be tough, and we knew that going in. So early on we had a plan to work him in. We had a senior there that was a really good football player for us, and Deldrick Samuel ended up playing a lot of running back and played quarterback some the year before, and so when you had that guy, you knew we didn't have to throw him in there right away, and
Yes, sir.
we got him used to playing because I remember telling him right off the bat, I'm gonna take care of you
Yeah.
early. I'm not just gonna throw you out there, get your feet wet, but we kind of saw right off the bat, it didn't bother him. The bright
Hmm.
lights, to be at that age, didn't rattle him too bad. So he got in and competed and did well. And so a few weeks into the season, we kind of made a switch, and he took more of the snaps, and it was able to free. That's, I think, going back what when we really started clicking and finding what we could do, especially offensively, because it was able to free up some guys and give us some depth. A
Yes,
couple
sir.
guys
Hmm.
didn't have to play every snap on offense and defense. They could sub and rotate, and that gave us a better opportunity to keep guys fresh. And when you play for a long time, the more depth you have, the better you're going to be. And Isaiah stepping into that role and then being successful early,
Yeah, and that's
was a
always
big
key, coach. That's always key.
difference for us. And but he's got a really bright future. I told a guy from Dave Campbell's, he seems like he gets better every time we go on the field. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Same thing at
Cause
workouts,
yeah,
coach.
he's really owning it. to be such a young guy, he's a mature kid, smart kid, very smart kid, and a hard worker. So he's he's got a bright future. I'm glad he's going to be around for a while. So
Yeah. So that's what I've been trying to instill them in the workouts that we have. That as a young kid, the coach probably kind of protected you a little
yeah,
bit. But as this season comes on, I constantly tell them, "Hey, Isaiah, you
mhm.
got to be poised and you got to correct
Yeah,
those flaws because
no
coach is
doubt.
probably going to be looking for a little bit more from you." I'm here
Yeah,
to tell you,
we've talked about that all spring, and the playbook for him really opened up every week as we got to the end of the season, to the state championship game. We started because he can run too. He's a
yes,
good runner,
yes,
so we started running we didn't have to run him a ton last year.
hmm
We had some really good running backs and a lot of weapons, which we have a lot coming back too. But the offense is going to open up more for him too. This year, and like I told him, I said, look, there's going to be a little more on your plate now. I said,
yes, yes,
your rookie season's out of the way. I said,
yeah,
you're still young, but you kind of the veteran guy now, even though you're
yes,
just a
sir.
sophomore. So I said, that's how we're going to approach it. And he's totally fine with that. He's going to be just he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, and I do believe it, coach. And I will tell you again that he's been putting in the work and he's
Yeah.
been really paying attention to me, telling him, coach, gonna have to put a little bit more on you. And I keep picking him about, man, you got knocked out the game in the state championship game, boy. And he's like, coach, man, it won't happen this season. Or we hope that it doesn't. So last one, coach. I just found this out when I was interviewing them guys that right out of the gate, you guys play the West Orange Stark Mustangs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I was like, what? Because, I'm a Jasper guy, so I got to go
Yeah.
follow my quarterback and then make him around some dirt at Barbers Hill. But you guys playing West Orange Stark are two runner-ups.
Mm-hmm.
What? Tell me about that. And I don't want to, get them no bulletin board
Yeah.
material. So because you guys play every year.
We do. We've been playing for a while now, and it's kind of, I guess, not a rivalry, but there's a lot of respect between our two programs. Our kids know what their kids are going to bring, and theirs know what ours are going to bring. And that's it's been a game that we've played for a while. It's always tough, physical, competitive game. So it makes you better. That's what me and
Yes, sir.
Coach Hickman has talked about multiple times. Like, you know, win or lose, you're gonna get better from it.
Yes, sir.
So right off the bat, it's a big game. It's always a good atmosphere, fun atmosphere. Those, I tell the kids all the time when looking back, I'm playing Jasper. I said I remember every time we played
Oh
Jasper. You
yeah.
remember those games? I
Yes,
said,
sir.
so those are the type of games as a player, when you get older, you remember, and so those are the fun ones. And but no, it'll be a good battle. They got a lot coming back. They're gonna be good like always.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, but our guys, they like to get up for those games like that, and that's a big one. So
Okay, coach. So, hey, anything you want to tell the Newton Eagle Nation, about this 2026 season, or you just want to sit back and let them find out?
no, look, we always have the same expectations every year. Whether you ranked, somebody's like, well, how do you feel being ranked number one? I said, well, it's just a number on a paper when you start playing.
Right.
So, I said, but when you have the same expectation every year, and that's what we have, our community has, our kids tell you, that's the great thing about, our culture, I guess. They plan on playing till the end every year. That's the goal.
Yes,
And
right.
and so when they have that mindset, being ranked one or three, whatever, we approach it the same way. So they're going to go to work. They're excited to get started. So I think we get some guys in the right spots. We got some young ones coming in. Lost some good seniors. Lost some really good
Yes,
guys
sir.
that have played a lot of football for us
Yes, sir.
over the last 3 years. And so we get some young guys that I think can play, that fit it in the right spots, and I think we got a chance to be pretty good.
Yeah, I said it on the show a couple of days ago that the Newton Eagles for me are like the old school New England Patriots with Tom Brady, or like the Eagles or some of Kansas City. Now, what goes on in the regular season matters
Yeah,
about getting to the dance, getting to
yeah,
the dance. So with just some of the players that I've been working out, that you guys, coach, you got some heck of a players and a heck of a program. And at D9J Sports, we really appreciate you letting us come in.
yes, sir.
All
Thank
right,
you. Yes,
appreciate it,
sir.
coach.
No problem.